a lot of dragons in the show How to Train Your Dragon, but which ones are the biggest? Well, today we will see the top 10 biggest dragons in this franchise, starting with the smallest up to the biggest. Without further ado, let's get started with the number 10, that is the Crimson Gorgutter. Now, the Crimson Gorgutter might not be the most famous dragon in this franchise, but it has definitely caught a lot of attention thanks to its unique look and hefty presence. These dragons aren't just large, they're also incredibly sturdy and have those massive antler-like protrusions that really set them apart visually. Imagine something that's not just long and heavy, but also able to hold its own against some pretty intimidating foes. The Crimson Gorgutter is known for its gentle nature, surprisingly enough, and it often seems more content to live its own peaceful life rather than go around causing chaos. But don't let that peaceful attitude fool you. If it has to stand its ground or protect its own, you can absolutely bet this dragon can throw its weight around quite literally. What makes it pretty cool is that this one stands out for its calm temperament in a world filled with more aggressive or skittish species. It shows that being big and strong doesn't always have to mean being hostile or mean-spirited. Although they are not as commonly seen in the series as some other species, the Crimson Gorgutter's presence is always impressive. The sheer fact that it's still making our top 10 biggest list still says a lot about its size. This dragon stands at 30 feet, weighing 2,500 pounds. Moving on to number 9, we have the Screaming Death. Now, the Screaming Death is one of those dragons that really lives up to its name. Just hearing that roar is enough to send chills down your spine. While it's slightly bigger than our number 10 spot, it's definitely one of the more terrifying dragons you'd ever encounter. It's essentially a massive, pale serpentine dragon that bores through the ground with its rows of rotating teeth, causing entire landscapes to tremble in fear. This thing isn't just huge, it's also incredibly aggressive, and let's be honest, that's a terrifying combination. The Screaming Death is like a nightmare that has been given wings, and if that doesn't scare you, the way it bursts out of tunnels with such raw ferocity definitely will. Thankfully, they're not something you'd stumble across every day. Unless you're extremely unlucky, you'll never have to face one. Still, it's comfortable to admire from a safe distance. This dragon stands at 50 feet, weighing 2,500 pounds, but he was only a baby in the show, so imagine when he gets to be an adult. At number 8, just a slight step up from the Screaming Death, comes the Submaripper. This dragon is known for being a colossus of the deep. While the Screaming Death burrows underground, the Submaripper essentially lurks beneath the waves. In a world where dragons fill the skies and roam the lands, having one that can dominate the ocean is both awe-inspiring and slightly terrifying. The Submaripper can create massive whirlpools, basically commanding the waters themselves, making passing ships and nearby creatures realize how small they truly are. Its immense strength and ability to stay underwater allows it a tactical advantage that's pretty much unrivaled. Despite its enormous size, it's often been rumored that the Submaripper isn't entirely unreasonable. If it doesn't see you as a threat, it might just ignore you, but if you provoke it or wander too close to something it wants to protect, you're in serious trouble. This dragon stands at 50 feet, weighing 3,600 pounds. At number 7, we meet the Fireworm Queen. Now, you might have heard of the smaller fireworms, which are these tiny glowing dragons known for their intense body heat. The Fireworm Queen, on the other hand, is the massive matriarch of these fiery little creatures. She's not just big, she's downright enormous compared to her tiny subjects. The Fireworm Queen glows with a brilliant warmth, can heat her surroundings to scorching levels, and would easily defend her brood against any unwelcome intruders. She might not have the raw, destructive power of a full-scale attack dragon like the Red Death, but in her own environment, surrounded by her swarm, she's an absolute force to be reckoned with. This dragon stands at 89 feet, weighing 6,100 pounds. At number 6, we have the Scauldron. Now, the Scauldron is a fascinating aquatic dragon that earned its place here by sheer presence in the watery realms. While not as famous in name as some of the others, it's a force to be reckoned with if you find yourself near its watery domain. With a body built for life in the ocean, the Scauldron is sleek and powerful, capable of firing scalding water that can strip paint off a ship's hull in seconds. The Scauldron uses the sea to its advantage, often surrounding itself with conditions that make it nearly impossible for a foe to fight back effectively. Imagine a creature that understands currents, tides, and underwater hazards, using them like a tactical map. Even though it might not have the monstrous weight of some others on this list, its length, form, and nasty surprise of boiling jets of water make it a terrifying encounter. And just like the Submaripper, it can appear and disappear at will, leaving you constantly on edge if you dare to travel in its territory. This dragon stands at 102 32 feet, weighing 7,000 pounds. At number 5, we have the Shellfire. If you ever wondered what kind of dragon would look right at home breaking through the strongest fortress walls, the Shellfire might be your answer. This dragon is essentially a walking or swimming battering ram. It's heavily armored with shell-like plating, giving it an extremely tough exterior. You can think of it like a living tank, massive, heavily protected, and capable of dishing out incredible damage if it wants to. Because it's also aquatic, it can control portions of the sea around it, using its tremendous strength to manipulate tides and currents. One of the more awesome things about the Shellfire is how it's often seen as an intimidating force that other dragons and even entire Viking fleets would think twice before challenging. This dragon stands at 160 feet, weighing 7,600 pounds. At number 4, we encounter the Titanwi Timberjack. Now, the Timberjack is already a really cool species, massive with huge razor-sharp wings that can cut through entire forests as if the trees were nothing but blades of grass. But when we're talking about the Titanwi variant, we're reaching a whole new level. The Titanwi Timberjack is truly colossal, and despite its somewhat lower weight compared to others on this list, its wingspan and sheer length are what put it in the realm of giants. There is something both majestic and a little scary about the Timberjack. On one hand, it looks graceful, almost elegant with those enormous wings spreading out so wide they could blot out the sun. On the other hand, when it wants to, it can slice through obstacles and enemies with a single flap. Its massive wings can create windstorms or break through dense canopies in seconds. The Titanwi status implies it's reached a kind of pinnacle of growth and power, making it even more formidable. This dragon stands at 171 feet, weighing 900 pounds. At number 3, we have the Purple Death. Now, this is where we're starting to get into true legendary territory. The Purple Death is enormous, so large that it makes you wonder how something that big can even move around without uprooting mountains. This dragon is monstrous, and not just in size. Its power, presence, and the sheer intimidation factor it carries are off the charts. Yet there's some mystery here. We don't see the Purple Death often, and that mystique only makes it more intriguing. You start to wonder what kind of environment can support a dragon that can weigh millions of pounds. It's a genuine giant, and anyone who spots it would understand in an instant that they've just seen something that can't be matched. Looking at how huge it is, you can't help but feel grateful that such dragons are extremely rare. This dragon stands at 394 feet, weighing 60,000 pounds. At number 2, we have the Red Death, or its variant, the Green Death, one of the most iconic giant dragons from the How to Train Your Dragon universe. Fans might remember how the Red Death's immense bulk and fiery presence almost seemed unbeatable. This dragon is something that entire Viking clans would have to band together to even stand a chance against. Massive jaws, a terrifying roar, the ability to influence or control smaller dragons, it's like a tyrant of the skies and the land. The Red Death became a major threat because of how it loomed over everything else, both literally and figuratively. To face something this large took courage, strategy, and a lot of luck. Even if you've only watched the movies once or twice, you probably remember the Red Death and its monstrous presence. This dragon stands at 400 feet, weighing 90,000 pounds. Finally, at number 1, we have the Bewilder Beast, and this is where we've reached the absolute pinnacle of dragon size. The Bewilder Beast is like a moving ecosystem. It can create huge nests of ice, govern entire colonies of dragons through its alpha status, and shape the environment around it in ways that no other dragon can. Even calling it big feels like an understatement. This dragon is so massive that even other giant dragons pale in comparison. The Bewilder Beast's majestic horns, tusks, and the aura of quiet wisdom it projects give it an almost mythical quality. This is the type of creature that you'd imagine existing in ancient legends, something that even the bravest Viking warriors would have difficulty comprehending. What's so cool about the Bewilder Beast is how it uses its immense size and power in more subtle ways than just brute force. Sure, it's capable of destruction if provoked, but it's also capable of nurturing, guiding, and caring for other dragons under its influence. That's the Bewilder Beast for you, a true king among dragons. This dragon stands at 647 feet, weighing 200,000 pounds. So, there you have it. These were the top 10 biggest dragons in the How to Train Your Dragon universe. It's fun to imagine what it would be like to stand next to one of these dragons, seeing how you'd barely reach the tip of their claw, and how the sound of their breath alone might be enough to knock you off your feet really puts our human size in perspective. The animators and creators behind these dragons did an amazing job making each one distinct and memorable so that when we talk about size, we're not just looking at a number, we're thinking of that dragon's personality and story. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. That's all for this video, and see you next time. Bye!